Questioner. Are most of these crusaders fourth density? Ra. I am Ra. There is a majority of fourth density. That is correct. Questioner. Does an individual in the fourth density normally appear? Are they normally visible to us? Ra. I am Ra. The use of the word normal is one which befuddles the meaning of the question. Let us rephrase for clarity. The fourth density is, by choice, not visible to third density. It is possible for fourth density to be visible. However, it is not the choice of the fourth density entity to be visible due to the necessity for concentration upon a rather difficult vibrational complex, which is the third density you experience. Questioner. Are there any Confederation or Orion individuals living on the Earth visible to us and operating in our society at this time? Ra. I am Ra. There are no entities of either group walking among you at this time. However, the Crusaders of Orion use two types of entities to do their bidding. Shall we say? The first type is a thought form, the second, a kind of robot. Questioner. Could you describe the robot? Ra. I am Ra. The robot may look like any other being. It is a construct. Questioner. Is the robot what is normally called the Men in Black? Ra. I am Ra. This is incorrect. Questioner. Who are the Men in Black? Ra. I am Ra. The Men in Black are a thought form type of entity which have some beingness to their makeup. They have certain physical characteristics given them. However, their true vibrational nature is without third density vibrational characteristics, and, therefore, they are able to materialize and dematerialize when necessary. Questioner. Are all of these Men in Black then used by the Orion Crusaders? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner. If one were to visit me, and I locked him in the closet, could I keep him, or would he disappear? Ra. I am Ra. It depends upon which type of entity you grab. You are perhaps able to perceive a construct. The construct might be kept for a brief period, although these constructs also have an ability to disappear. The programming on these constructs, however, makes it more difficult to remotely control them. You would not be able to grapple with the thought form entity of the Men in Black, as you call it, type. Questioner. Would this be against the law of one? Would I be making a mistake by grabbing one of those entities? Ra. I am Ra. There are no mistakes under the law of one. Questioner. What I'm saying is, would I be polarizing more towards self-service or service to others when I did this act of locking up the thought form or construct? Ra. I am Ra. You may consider that question for yourself. We interpret the law of one, but not to the extent of advice. Questioner. You spoke of wanderers. Who are wanderers? Where do they come from? Ra. I am Ra. Imagine, if you will, the sands of your shores. As countless as the grains of sand are the sources of intelligent infinity. When a social memory complex has achieved its complete understanding of its desire, it may conclude that its desire is service to others with a distortion towards reaching their hand, figuratively, to any entities who call for aid. These entities, whom you may call the brothers and sisters of sorrow, move towards this culling of sorrow. These entities are from all reaches of the infinite creation, and are bound together by the desire to serve in this distortion. Questioner. How many of them are incarnate on Earth now? Ra. I am Ra. The number is approximate due to an heavy influx of those birthed at this time due to an intensive need to lighten the planetary vibration and thus aid in harvest. The number approaches 65 million. Questioner. Are most of these from the fourth density? Or what density do they come from? Ra. I am Ra. Few there are of fourth density. The largest number of wanderers, as you call them, are of the sixth density. The desire to serve must be distorted towards a great deal of purity of mind, and what you may call foolhardiness or bravery, depending upon your distortion complex judgment. The challenge danger of the wanderer is that it will forget its mission, become karmically involved, and thus be swept into the maelstrom of which it had incarnated to avert the destruction. Questioner. What could one of these entities do to become karmically involved? Could you give an example of that? Ra. I am Ra. An entity which acts in a consciously unloving manner in action with other beings can become karmically involved. Questioner. Do many of these wanderers have physical ailments in this third density situation? Ra. I am Ra. Due to the extreme variance between the vibratory distortions of third density and those of the more dense densities, if you will, wanderers have, as a general rule, some form of handicap, difficulty, or feeling of alienation which is severe. The most common of these difficulties are alienation, the reaction against the planetary vibration by personality disorders, as you would call them, and body complex ailments indicating difficulty in adjustment to the planetary vibrations such as allergies, as you would call them. Questioner. Is there a best way for these entities to heal themselves of their physical ailments? Ra. I am Ra. This will be the last complete question of this time-space. The self-healing distortion is effected through realization of the intelligent infinity resting within. This is blocked in some way in these who are not perfectly balanced in bodily complexes. The blockage varies from entity to entity. It requires the conscious awareness of the spiritual nature of reality, if you will, and the corresponding pourings of this reality into the individual mind-body-spirit complex, for healing to take place. We will use this instrument as example. The portions of its ailment, as you call this distortion complex, that can be perfected in balance are due primarily to a blockage of the indigo ray, or pineal energy center. The center receives the intelligent energy from all sources lawful within the one creation, that is, lawful in this third density distortion or illusion. If there is no blockage, these energies pour or stream down into the mind-body-spirit complex, perfecting moment by moment the individual's body complex. This instrument also experiences some distortion of the green ray energy center, which you may call the heart center. It is overly open due to an intensive desire distortion on the part of this mind-body-spirit complex towards service to others, or, as you may call it, universal love. This entity, therefore, spends itself without regard to its reserves of mind-body-spirit complex distortion in regard to what you call strength or energy. This distortion is primarily due to the blockage of the indigo ray. As we have said before, the misapprehension distortion of the instrument responsible for this blockage is the basic orientation towards a belief in unworthiness. The unworthiness distortion blocks the free flow of intelligent energy. The seventh or violet ray is unimpaired, this being not only an energy receptor, but a sum total of the vibratory level of the individual. The other energy centers are also quite clear. The solution to healing in this case is action that puts into practice the peaceful understanding and humility distortion that the entity is one with the Creator, therefore perfected, and not separate. In each case of what you would call ill health, one or more of these energy centers is blocked. The intelligence of the mind-body-spirit complex needs then to be alerted either by the self as healer or by the catalyst of another healer, as we have said before. Is there a short question before we close this session? Questioner. Is it possible for you to tell us if any of the three of us are wanderers? Ra. I am Ra. In scanning each of the mind-body-spirit complexes present, we find an already complete assurance of this occurrence, and therefore find no harm in recapitulating this occurrence. Each of those present are wanderers pursuing a mission, if you will. Questioner. Thank you. Is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable? Ra. I am Ra. We ask you to realign the object upon which the symbols sit. It is not a significant distortion for only one session, but you will find upon measuring the entire assemblage that the resting place is 1.4 from the correct alignment, the resting place an additional 0.5 away from proper orientation. Do not concern yourselves overly with this in the space-time nexus present, but do not allow these distortions to remain over a long period, or the contact will be gradually impaired. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one Creator. Adonai.